Immigrants get arrested in courts when they come in for their scheduled hearings. What do you need to know about this and how you can prepare if you have an upcoming hearing? Thank you very much for watching. My name is Alena Shautsova. I'm an immigration attorney from New York. I use my social media to educate people with regard to the United States immigration and share the recent most interesting news. If you haven't signed up for my channel, please do so, and let's start. Disturbing footage comes from various immigration courts portraying ICE officers arresting immigrants and taking them into detention. But why is it happening? Well, it's happening because Trump announced mass deportation plans demanding that ICE officers detain a certain amount of immigrants per day. And as a result, ICE increased their enforcement efforts, sometimes focusing on people who are coming to immigration court for their scheduled hearings. However, this approach, unfortunately, very often results in mere waste of taxpayers' money because many of those people will be able to get out of the detention rather than being deported. So let's talk about who, if is being detained, will be able to get out of the detention and who will not be. We can divide all immigrants into two large groups, those who are subject to what's called mandatory detention and those who are not. Most immigrants who are in the regular or what we call 240 INA removal proceedings are not subject to mandatory detention. Those who are subject to mandatory detention are people who would be in expedited removal proceedings, people who have certain, not all, but certain criminal charges or convictions, and people who have already been ordered deported. However, what's particular about this administration's enforcement efforts is that a person can be moved from one category of people, those who are not subject to mandatory detention, to the second category of people, those who are subject to mandatory detention, on the day of their court hearing. So you will not know in advance that you will be detained. However, judging by these present enforcement efforts, I can tell you who is at risk of being detained if you are going to immigration court for your hearing. What may happen to one currently, which we have never seen before, if they come to their court hearing as they should, because if you guys don't show up for your court hearing, you will be automatically ordered deported. So when a person comes for their master hearing, usually what happens is that the judge dismisses their regular 240 removal proceedings, and a person is automatically being placed in expedited removal proceedings. Hence, their category with regard to detention changes. Because if you are in expedited removal proceedings, you must be detained, and only on parole you can get out of the detention. You cannot qualify for a bond. So, people who entered the United States without inspection within the past 2 years, they have not been residing physically in the United States for more than 2 years. These are the number one group of people whose removal proceedings under INA 240 may be dismissed and they may be transferred to expedited removal proceedings. The second group of people apparently are people who entered on a CBP-1 parole or were paroled into the United States otherwise. Regardless of when it happened, the government may move for this 240 INA irregular removal proceedings to be dismissed, and the judges are instructed to grant such motions without giving the respondent an opportunity to respond. And if the judge grants such a motion, the person will be placed in expedited removal proceedings. So these are the two major groups of people who are at risk of being detained in court when they're showing up for their hearings. And the rest of the people are usually people who are coming for their ICE check-ins. The vast majority of those people are going to be people who already have orders of removal against them, and they are just coming in for their orders of supervision, regular check-ins, and people who violated their orders of supervision, for example, because they did not update ICE that they moved, changed addresses within necessary time. Here, I have to tell you about one more recent development. Those of you who filed for asylum, and if this is your first asylum hearing, and you know that your Form I-589 was poorly prepared, and you didn't submit any what we call a story or statement in support of that I-589 application for asylum, you also may face certain risks. Why? Because currently the judges have power to dismiss your case at the very beginning if they believe that your asylum case is not legally sufficient. This is very important to understand that. So you want to aim to present before the court the strongest case possible as early as possible. Please understand that. Not to be transferred from the group of people in regular proceedings, as I just described, to the group of people who are subject to mandatory detention because of the poor preparation. Now, if you do have upcoming court hearing, you must be prepared. Your case must be shaped up, and if you are in one of those groups that may be moved from regular proceedings to expedited removal proceedings, you have to discuss it with your attorney and get ready for it. If this unfortunate situation happens, you have to be ready to spend some time in detention. You can still win your case, but it's going to be harder because now you will have to fight for your asylum claim, usually from detention. Okay? So you need to be aware of this. You need to know your story. Your attorney has to have access to all evidence in support of your claim so that they will be able to present it fast before the immigration judge. And please, please make sure that your lawyer has signed G28 form or notice of appearance. You have to sign that form authorizing your lawyer to become your attorney in a case of detention, because only then that attorney will be able to communicate with you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you find this video helpful. If so, please like and share it. Sign up for my channel and stay safe, and I hope to see you soon.